And I guess you could say I like a lot of things off of the beaten path, not some, like I like horror and I like WWE and I like all kind of
What was that? Hold on. What was that first one you said?
I like horror films and stuff.
Oh, horror. Okay. Marcus,
different interview, Anthony.
Sat back and said, what did she say, Pops?
Different interview.
That doesn't make you a nerd. Those are great things.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Nerd culture has evolved in the last, 10, 20, 30 years. So it's cool. You throw some glasses on it and everybody's a nerd nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Well, it is a pleasure to be with you, gentlemen. One thing was really great to me last season was seeing the parents come together, and Dre is not feeling it. And I thought of my own brother, my mom, and their dynamic and everything. Why is it so hard for sons to let their moms grow up in a sense when they get older and start dating and these things?
Well, it's you know what? Our moms are the first women that we fall in love with. Mm-hmm. And so we don't want any competition with that love. We don't feel anyone can love our mothers the way that we love them or the way that they deserve to be loved. And in the case of Pops, Ruby, and Dre, that dynamic, I was always left there to pick up the pieces when my father broke my mother's heart. Even though she shot him 6 times, even though she blew up his boat, even all of that, I found a way to be there for my mother. And I was always the person that was there to put back together this shattered heart. And so for them to come together now, when I finally have the relationship that I've always wanted with my dad, I have a great relationship with my mother. And I know if my dad screws over my mom, I'm riding with my mom, which means I am not going to have to forego this relationship that I finally have with my father. And I don't want that to be destroyed because now I have something tangible with him. And so that's why Dre fights with Pops with relation to, what are your intentions with my mama?
That's right.
That was real talk. And Dre was ready to knuckle up with his own daddy in his guest house. Right. So I think that's what it is. Those are the first women that we fall in love with. Those are the women that until we figure out what we really want in life with a woman, those are the women that we are attracted to and we try to find to replace or add into our lives.
Absolutely. And that brings a certain level of maturity to young men who have to travel that journey with their mothers, quite different than Junior, who is now coming into his own manliness and growing up and maturing. What does the maturity process look like for Junior this season, Marcus? What is that going to be like for him?
Yeah, I think our writers have done a fantastic job adapting to the current world situation, because I know previously we were like, oh, Junior's going to have a girlfriend. He's going off. He's going to, do things in the world. It's going to be amazing. Then obviously coronavirus struck and all those plans went out the window. Just like a lot of other people's plans went out the window in real life, specifically when it comes to relationships. So now it's about Junior navigating this important relationship to him, this girl that he's possibly in love with and has been with for a really long time, and trying to figure out how to make things work during a pandemic, which is obviously an extremely difficult situation. But nowadays we're fortunate enough to have Zoom, FaceTime, things like that, and making things work. But how do you balance love in a worldwide crisis is really where Junior's story arc is going right now, and how he's growing as a person and stepping out on his own.
Right. With that growth process comes with being involved with the civic duty and voting, as we saw with the early episodes. Anthony, I love how vocal you are about encouraging people to vote and getting that messaging out there. How has, by doing that in your personal life, how much education have you given your onset children about the importance of the voting processes here?
Junior's the only one that's old enough to vote on the set of our children, but I believe everybody knows the importance of what their vote means, and not just on a national election. It's about voting at your local elections. for the judges that are getting, appointed, lifetime positions or whatever, your district attorneys, things that directly affect you and your community. So I try to give them information about, voting on the local level, because that is what's really going to affect you and your community. Your local mayors, your local aldermen and congressmen and women and things like that. So not only is it important to vote every 4 years, but it's also important to vote on those local levels every 2 years or whatnot.
That's perfect. And lastly, Junior, can Junior, is he mature enough to handle a relationship? What do you think? From Marcus's point of view?
Jeandra. I think so. Junior has, the way you asked that question, I was like, I know Junior's mature enough. Hold
on. Before you answer that question, Junior, aren't you still sharing a bedroom in my house with your 14-year-old brother?
Not anymore. I'm breaking out on my own. I got my own bedroom set up in the joint,
Okay,
this is true.
okay,
He still is.
okay.
I am still living in your house though, which could be an issue. But I think Junior, he's matured a lot since that's what I think is one of the most interesting parts about the character. He was always this happy-go-lucky, gullible type guy. And I feel like our writers have done a great job of maturing him and growing him as I grow. Which has been a cool dynamic to play, because Junior at the beginning of our first season to Junior now is a very, very different person, just as we all are in this growth process. So I think Junior's definitely matured to the point. He got a job, he's still living at his dad's house, but he's working his way up. I think he's mature enough to handle a relationship.
I hope so. Thank you, gentlemen. A pleasure. Love the show as always, and go vote.
Oh, thank you. And